Hey Bugs, Bug here, back at it again. This time, although we're going to talk about books, and my books last year in 2025, and my 2026 TBR to be read. This will be spoiler free, mostly, apart from a single book I will spoil and say a lot about because I don't encourage reading this book, supporting the author, or buying the book. I just don't I don't support the author at all. Uh, Mainly because I'm going to talk about the book like in a moment. But I don't recommend reading that book, and I will say more when I get there eventually, which I will really soon. But this will also include some books that I am not done with yet, but I started reading them in 2025, and I wanted to include them. There's also some other books that I read before 2025. I just wanted to include them to, get all my books together that I've read in, from 2023 till now in 2026. I just wanted to get them with here. And, yeah, without further ado, let's start with the first book I read last year, which is Powerless. Now, before I get too much into it, I want to say that I will spoil this book, but it's the book. I don't support the author. I don't encourage buying the book or reading it. There is really two sides of this. Like, people either love it or hate it. I will get into it more. I don't feel a specific way about it. I generally don't like it. But I'm going to start spoiling a lot about the book now. So if you don't want to get it spoiled, you can just pause and get on to the next book that is after Fearless. Done that now? Good. So to get into it, Powerless had potential. I'm gonna be honest. I did kind of like the first book in the Powerless series. It had a lot of potential for good story building and characters. I enjoyed it. It was from good to mid. I don't like Kai and Peyton's relationship. Not at all. It was my first book as a self-proclaimed reader. And, I thought stuff was gonna be like this. And, I thought, oh, that's good. Until I started getting more information about it. I started reading more about it. And, no, it is not good at all. Although it had potential, Powerless had a lot of potential, it was so ruined by the plagiarism and how it is completely stolen from the Red Queen, which is in my to be read this year, and a lot of other books that some I haven't read. Well, it is plagiarized. It's a lot of stuff is taken in by the Hunger Games with the whole trials thing, where a lot of people have to almost fight to the death, and then one wins in the end, except they don't all die. Unlike the Hunger Games. There's also apparently some plagiarism from Shatter Me, which I'll get into. Shatter Me I will get into later. What other books are there? I was talking with one of my friends, and they are a big Harry Potter fan, and I was like, oh, let me tell you this one thing that happened in Powerless, and you'll tell me what that reminds you of. And it's about the last, trial they have to go to, where there's this maze, and it is a maze of bushes that move, where there's a prize in the end, or something in the middle. Remind you of anything? If you say no, then you have never read or seen the Harry Potter movies, and I wish I was you in that case. But past that, Powerless had so much potential for a good book, although it is not enemies to lovers. Reading it, I was like, is the enemies into lovers in the room with us. They just leave the group chat. Where did it go? Kai folded the second he saw Payton, and it's like, it's just not an enemies to lovers. If you say that is an enemies to lovers, then you have never read anything else, which was me earlier this year. I used to like it. I used to think, oh yeah, that's a good book, and then you read other books and you're like, that is not a good book. So overall, had a lot of potential, which I said 3 times now, but I'm looking for something else to say about it. I just don't like it. I might read it again if I really need something to read, but I doubt I'll ever be that desperate that I'll end up reading Powerless again. And I've actually recommended it to one of my friends, and I think she liked it, especially like in the beginning, but she's at Fearful now, and it's just getting bad, which I will get into. The next up is Powerful, which is the first novel, and I want to say Powerful I really liked. I loved Powerful. I read it in 3 hours, which is faster than the usual reading time, than the average reading time for Powerless. It's a novel, it's a short, I'd say short and sweet, but I was crying for an hour in the end, so not short and sweet. Short and painful ending. That's definitely what I'll say. If Lauren Roberts had focused more on Adina and, I don't blame me for his name because I don't know how to say it, Mikado. If she had maybe concentrated more on these characters, on Adina and Mikado's like entire characters and relationship, because she focused on the wrong characters and killed every single good one. Without spoiling of the other books, just already in this too, she decided to kill Adina, which, first of all, why? I feel like she's just really overlooked in the end by Payton, especially. Like, she completely forgot about her in the castle, and like, I get that she felt bad about it and stuff, but it's like, homegirl, you forgot your best friend for a man? Now, I know that I am a lesbian. I know that I don't like men at all, but just forgetting your best friend for a guy you're supposed to hate, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what the hell are we doing? What the hell is going on? So Powerful was good. The novels that she writes then tend to be good because she's writing novels about the good characters. At least in my opinion. If you like Powerless, if you liked reading it, like it completely enjoyed it, you can't just slander me in the comments. I won't really care because I know that it is a completely plagiarized book and it should have stayed on Wattpad. Powerless should have stayed on Wattpad. This is my entire opinion about Powerless. She should have never gained profit from that book or officially released it. Should have been one of those really good Wattpad books that everyone sees and is like, oh yeah, that's interesting, let me just read that. But it should have not been publicly released, because that's just plagiarism, and I don't get how she hasn't been sued yet. So moving on to Reckless. Reckless was bad. I barely remember anything from it, but I do remember that Kai has no personality whatsoever. His only personality is Payton, and there's just looking back at it, I thought I enjoyed it, but it was actually really painful to read. Like, I think I got through this book in a few months, mostly because I started like during summer vacation. I don't read physical books during summer vacation because I am in other countries. But I think it was really mid to bad. It was really big downgrade from the first book, and not really enjoyable to read. It was also just boring. Like, it's a really big cat and mouse play, and it's just, ugh. Like, you can see that it's an 18-year-old who wrote that. Well, not really, actually. She was 18 years when she wrote Powerless, which is an excuse, apparently. It is not plagiarism to plagiarism. You can't excuse it. And she shouldn't have done that. But it's also really, I want to call it awkward, because it's like, oh, are they lovers or are they not? Can they stop what they're doing? I am uncomfortable. Rethinking about it, I get secondhand embarrassment from the book. Which is, have your own opinions, alright? Go ahead and read it if you want to. Which, if you're watching this, you probably already have. Or you just want to see people's opinions on it. I didn't like it. And also, what is that plot twist in the end? What do you mean Kid proposed to her? I mean, we agree that we all thought that Kid was going to kill Peyton, and in the end, he just marries her? I am thinking currently that I will make an entire video on everything that is wrong with the Powerless series. After I've read Fearful, I'm going to make a video about everything that is wrong in Powerless. You can count me on that. I don't know if I'll have enough free time to even film it or edit it, but I'll definitely try. So, moving on to Fearless, and the plot has left the room. The plot is non-existent, completely left. Alright, and there's no way AI hasn't written this. Alright, there's no way she didn't just put a little prompt into ChatGPT, just casually helped in the destruction of this earth, and got it done. Like, it is so inconsistent. I barely remember anything from it. Or I do remember some stuff, of course. If you tell me, like, oh yeah, that and that happened, I'll be like, yep, I remember that. But past that, and if you made it far, I'm going to assume you've read all these past books, but what is it with Lauren Roberts and making siblings, or like related people, like almost hinted love interests, which that's weird as hell. Why would you do that? She's done it twice already, in Powerful and Fearless. Like, there was Mikado and his cousin Sadie, I think it was, that was in the games, and then that died as the first person, I'm pretty sure. Who they were like, Mikado kept being like, oh yeah, I had to have someone in the games, or something. I keep saying at the games, I don't even think it's called the games or some shit. But like, he knows someone in there, in the arena, and he wants them to come back alive. So Dina's like, are y'all together? And then he's like, no, that's my cousin. It's Katniss and Galecore are cousins. And also, funny thing about the family tree, the Azer family tree, it is so confusing. I understood it because of a meme. Let me repeat that. I understood the Azer family tree because of a meme I saw on Pinterest. That is, and the drawing, even in the beginning of Fearless, where it's like, it shows the family tree, still didn't understand it. Still don't. But I saw a meme and I was like, that's the family tree. So, a huge spoiler, by the way, if you're still watching this, you have committed now. You will get spoiled. But Kai is not related to Kit in any way. Kai's mother had a son with we don't know who. Came to the castle to marry Kit's father after his mom died, and secretly had a second child, which, fun fact, is Peyton. So she had two children. She had Peyton, which once they found out she was an ordinary sheep, one of the guards in the castle, I think it was her dad. Her dad, because the king is actually her biological father, took him, I don't remember her father's name, but the doctor or something took her home. I'm actually getting confused myself. But basically, Kit and Peyton are siblings. They have exactly the same blood, same mother and father, at least as far as I remember. Unless the Queen had an affair with Peyton's dad, because no, it is not. That's a lie. Even I'm getting confused. I'm gonna have to reread Fearless, and that was a painful read. I'm trying to think of good sides, like good things about Fearless, and there's not really any. There's just, I can only complain. Although some good things actually that I've thought of. We get lesbians. We do get lesbians, so I'm just gonna add that to the list. But they're really background characters, unnecessarily too far background characters. They should have been so much more upfront about it. They're in like 3 pages max, or something. Which I wanted to call it screen time, but it's not. It's just page time. They're in 3 pages entirely, and then we just never see them again. That's sad. There's also the Queen of Isram, the one where they have to go and give her the roses. I love her. All right, she's my queen. If I had to choose something, if I had to change something in the books, I'd want Peyton and Kai to die, and for the Queen of Isram to rule over the world. She is so bisexual coded. At least to me, like, you can think your own stuff, but to me she is extremely bisexual coded. And I could totally imagine her wearing such a super fancy robe when her husband seriously died, and she secretly has another lover that is a girl. Maybe I just want everything to be sapphic romance, because who doesn't love a bit of Yuri, healthy Yuri, right? But I could totally imagine that. She is such a queen, such a slay. I love the Queen of Isram, and no one could convince me otherwise. I love my bisexual queen. So on to more controversy about Fearless, because I love slandering this book. I love slandering the book so much. I was about to say the author too, but no, that's just mean. I love powerless slander. I live for the powerless slander. And that's why I have a Pinterest account, because I can slander powerless every day. I can see slander every day and stand on the side of the people who, in my opinion, are right, because plagiarism will never win. And I don't get how she's not safe, actually. Not at all. But back on to slandering. What do you mean they... How do I say this? They had intercourse on his little sister's grave. What's up with that? Why? And you can't... And Kit is buried there now. Which I'll get into later. About Kit's death. But... his... doing that on his dead little sister's grave. His little sister, that, by the way, only got to like 5 years old before she died of like her father, the king, Edric, poisoning her or something, because they wanted her powers to be stronger to like get the sickness. What was it even called already? I don't remember what it was called. But they were like trying to get the sickness back. They were giving it to his little sister. Ava? I think her name was? Ava? I'm not even gonna guess. It's probably wrong. But they were trying to give her more powers back, and she ended up just dying instead. Because she was already like a really weak child. And no one knows about her in the entirety of like the country, which I forgot the name of, but I'm not gonna guess. No one knows about her, and she is buried under a willow tree, I think it was, and they just did it over her grave. And you can't even like say like, oh, but it was on the other side of the tree. Oh, but there was a blanket under them. They did it over his dead sister's tree. That is so disrespectful. Especially when you think that Kit is now buried there too. Like, that is not a way to honor the dead. That is no. I don't know why Lawrence willingly wrote this. What goes through a person's brain to make them think that, oh yeah, people are gonna love this, people are gonna love receiving this. I hated reading about that. It was really secondhand embarrassment. Actually, it was so hard to read. Not that it's like detail or anything, it's just like we know that it happened, and it's like, oh girl, no. You did not just do that. And it was the day before her wedding with Kit. Oh yeah, the wedding with her brother, her blood-related brother, and they didn't know it the first time because they had to do 2 weddings. Like, I know you can't see my face, but I am flabbergasted. Why would you do that? Why? And then there's like the love triangle thing where you think it's that Kit and Kai both want Peyton, but then you see it more from Kit's side and it's actually Kit that wants Kai. Like, and I keep saying this, but people get mad at me for it, but they don't get the joke, so I keep saying that, like, Kit and Kai should have been canon. Like, Loki should have been. Because, like, they're not related. And in the end, I think before Kit died, I think he has said something about wanting to be, like, he just wanted to be loved. Because he also gave himself, like, he kept injecting himself with the poison, like, the sickness. Which ended up in him going crazy, and that's why everyone hates him. I love Kit. Kit is my baby, forever. Did he turn and, like, oh, he tried to kill Peyton? I want to say as he should, although that sounds kind of mean. I think it is completely real, as he should. Honestly, I wouldn't do the same. But I get him so much. He would just wanted to be loved by his brother. So of course, when you're completely intoxicated, your first solution is to, oh, kill his love interest. Not that they even are real love interests, like their relationship is more lust than actual love. Not like counting how Kai folded the second he saw her. What else about them? Peyton is also such, I don't want to use the word pick me because it is very like misused. It's misused a lot. But she is not a good femme-MC. No, not at all. Which actually pick me kind of fits her because she acts all, oh yeah, a fucking girl boss, and I'm like, okay, sure, I guess. But then the second Kai comes in the picture, then she is a YN, a 4-foot tall YN with a 3-inch waist. Like, girl, if you're gonna be a good femme-MC, be a good femme-MC. Like, you can't, I am crashing out. I hate her so much, and she is such a wannabe Jude Dewart, which the Cruel Prince I will get into. I read it, lovely, but Peyton makes me such crush out. Like, she's such a bad femme MC. I don't like her, and I don't think I'm the only one that doesn't like her. And before I move on, because I probably have to, I've been talking about these books for way too long. I've been a Kai hater since day one. Day one, baby. Day one. Alright, first time I saw him and he, like, Peyton fell in the street, like, fell to, like, steal some of his money. And he, like, saw her and I was like, ew. My first reaction to him was ew. Kai hater since day one, and I don't get how people thirst over this man. Like, that is... Kai Acer is the worst boyfriend to have, because what do you mean he left his mother to die for a girl? And if you're like, oh, but Bug, you're lesbian, you'd do that too if you were in the same world. No, that's my mom! I'm not gonna leave my mom. My dying mother, dying of grief, by the way, because her husband got stabbed by Peyton, and Kai is like, oh yeah, let me hang out, let me just go have intercourse over my dead sister's grave with the girl that impaled my dad, and has my mother now grieving to death, literally. I'm sorry, but no. No. And people that praise this book either don't know about the discourse around it, or the fact that it is fully plagiarized, or just don't know what a good book is my guess. Now that's gonna sound a bit mean, but I'm just trying to be like, Powerless series are not good books. Plot completely inconsistent in the end. Down to the cover of, like, the Red Queen? Like, it is plagiarized that much that... No, I don't know, because not a lot of people are talking about it, so there may be, like, a dozen other books with a bleeding crown on the cover. So that may be on my side, but, like, okay, down to the cover. And you could predict Kit's death if you've read The Red Queen. And that has plagiarized into another level. And I'm going to read The Red Queen. It is my 26 CBR, which I will talk about. But I don't even want to talk about this book anymore. I just don't like it. There are so many things wrong with it. And, yeah, just moving on to the next book. Hi, editing bug here. This video actually took me so long to edit. I read Fearful. I finished Fearful. And honestly, it was a pretty good book. Of course, her novels are pretty nice. Kit, I loved as always. Mara was a really interesting character. It's kind of like, she kind of felt like the sob story character. I mean, the character that is just, whose life is so bad, you know, it's just, there's nothing of happiness in their life. They don't remember what it's like to be human. That kind of slightly weirded me out. Like, it was kind of cringe, I'll be honest. I loved the Blair redemption arc. I think that was awesome. I've always loved, well, of course she was a bitch in the beginning, but I really like Blair. I've always liked Blair as a character. I think she's pretty great. The Mara being, like, referred to as in third perspective, as in, like, death, that was also interesting, and it felt really weird because you just had the character in first perspective, and you had Mara's pages that were like, death doesn't like when so and so happens, or like, death feels this emotion that she hasn't felt in so long, and so on. That was kind of an interesting thing. Apparently Lauren Roberts has been writing new stuff that will be out in the next years. So I can't wait for that. But overall, Fearful, the Powerless series, just not that great. I'll be honest, they're not that good. This one, I love. If you need a book to read, if you're a fantasy person, if you love fantasy, like I do, like I love something that will bring me out of this earth. The Cruel Prince did that perfectly. The Cruel Prince it's about a mix of politic with, like, really good romance, and it isn't the main plot. It's a really small subplot. And it is so amazing to read. And Jude Duart, which is the FemMC, I love her so much. She may be one of... I've seen people talk about it. People have read more books than I have and are like, Jude Duart is if not the best. One of, if not the best, FemMC out there. And I respect that. If I had to say, she's one of the only FemMCs to mention periods, which is like, okay, Holly Black, the writer of The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and the novels of Elfane. I love her, and I will read so many more of her books because The Cruel Prince was amazing. Also, to get these into it, The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing were absolutely perfect too. It's so well made with plot twists, and the characters also really well written. You have some characters that you hate, but that are really well written, and that's the important of a good character for me, is the fact that they are well written. You have people that you hate, characters that you hate, but they're well written. So you hate them, but they're good. I'd never praise some of those characters in this book, but they're so well written that it's awesome. And also the subtle, I want to call it subtle queerness in this book, because you have there's people of all, and I think that is so great because the main characters may not be canonically queer, at least as far as I know. I hate to see a lot of them as at least bi. The queerness is so well. You have sapphic couples in some novels, which I will get into right after this. Have also queer couples that are in the front, so not in the back, like Fearless right before, but queer characters that are pretty much in front, and that is, I love to see it. I love to see it. And next up would be How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate. How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories. That is a long-ass name if I've ever seen one, and I want to say I read that one in an hour, and it was lovely. It was lovely, and what can I say? I really loved it. I think it was written pretty well when it is about Cardan, which is the Malamcy of The Cruel Prince, so the Queen of Nothing. He is also in some novels, but it is a really great book, especially because it is short. It is a graphic novel, and the illustrations are so pretty. It is not an art style that you see often, and I've been in the Cruel Prince subreddit trying to be like, what is the name of this art style? I need more. And no one has answered me, by the way. I keep reminding myself, wait, don't use Reddit, and it's that. But it's a really pretty art style that you don't see often, and that is, I don't want to call it ugly, but it is unusual, and I think that makes it even better. At least I loved it. It was really awesome. Cardan's childhood, though, I let you read about it, but it is sad. Kind of, at least. Yeah, it is pretty sad, obviously. I don't know why I'm trying to soften the blow. It is really sad. Next up is The Stolen Hair and The Prisoner's Throne. I love these books. I love Ren and Oak's relationship. I just forgot his name for a second. It's so well written. Again, Holly Black, masterpieces after masterpieces. And there are more novels that I will talk about, but they are much more TBR, and they are just, I can't wait to read them. Just The Stolen Hair and Prisoner's Throne were so great and so underrated, in my opinion. Like, people talk about The Cruel Prince all the time, but what about the Stolen Hair? What about The Stolen Hair? What about The Prisoner's Throne? Such awesome books, and partly, you don't, maybe a bit of a lie, but you don't exactly need to have read all of The Cruel Prince to read them. Like, of course, it's best if you have more context, and you may get spoiled by a lot of stuff. but they're so good as books on the side, and you see Jude and Carden again, but it's like when they're older. Because Oak is about 16, 17, way past that. He has to be around 20. I don't believe that he is under. I don't think he's over 20, but he's got to be like 19, 20 or something. I don't remember actually. I think I read somewhere that he was 16, 17. But either way, it was so good with the plot twist, and Ren's character broke my heart. It is a really she is such a complicated character, but also one that I am on my knees for. She's such a good, complicated character, and there are so many plot twists, and I want to say a lot more, but I don't want to spoil. So instead, I will move on. So these are books. Okay, the next one are the Maze Runner series, and I want to say this series of books and movies changed my life. I read them like about 2 years ago or something. I actually have them. It's one of some of the few books that I have physically, and I have the collector's version, which two difference. I think it was. Yes, it's the first one that I have on a different collector's version, which kind of pisses me off, but I think they are so good. I like saying that my teenage years started when I saw the movies and read the books. I just felt like a different person after, and it is actually insane how much I love them. Some of the first books I've ever read that I've actually sat through the entire thing in a really short period of time. The Scorch Trials I read in a day. I read it in a day. It was during the summer. I had nothing to do. I got my phone taken away, and I was just like, okay, you know what? Heck it. I'll just read the Scorch Trials, and I read it in a day, and it was awesome. Very different from the movies, I'll say. So if you've already seen the movies and you remember them, you just have to go into the books really open-minded, because a lot of stuff is different, but they are so awesome. The chapters are really, really short, which made it really easy to read. The books aren't really big. The chapters are really, really short. Like, it's almost impressive, actually, how short the chapters are, because it makes it really easy to read. I think the longest chapter is 5 pages. 5 pages, or else you have a chapter literally almost every page. And it goes that for all 3 books. One thing I will say though is that I have been trying to read The Death Cure for over a year now, and 2026. I've been trying to read The Death Cure for a year, more probably. It's just really hard, because there's this one event that happens, and I was dreading it. I was like, I know it's going to happen, and I know I'm not going to like it. But I've waited so long that one day I was like, okay, I'll continue it now. I read it, and I felt nothing. I was like, damn. That's an event I'm really sad about, but I've had other stuff before that. Like, I was waited so long that it didn't grow on me as much anymore. The thing that happened, I kind of just brushed it off, and now I'm looking for motivation to read the end of the book, because I'm almost done with it. I'm actually really close to the end. I just don't have a lot of motivation to read it, and that is kind of sad, because the other books were amazing. Right now I am just at the end, and I think I'll read it. I think I'll finish reading it before some books arrive soon, because I don't buy books. Thing with me, I don't buy books. I get them from the library, and I have to like reserve them and then just wait till they arrive. So before these books arrive, I will be reading The Death Cure. Hopefully I'll be done with it soon. But let's move on. So, Girls of Snow and Glass. This one is not popular at all. Like, all the books before this one were, like, popular series. And I would recommend it a lot, actually. It was a pretty calm read. Nothing too extraordinary. It is a rewrite. Like, it is Snow White, basically. Rewritten. To be like a really feminist tale, and I really liked it. I really like Girls of Snow and Glass. I found it because I was looking for sapphic fantasy romances, because it was hard to find, actually, surprisingly hard to find. But when I did, I was like, oh, I'm interested. This looks good. And then I found out more about it, and it's really just Snow White rewritten, but it has a good ending for, in my opinion, both the stepmother and the girl and Snow White. And it is really, really good, really underrated too, in my opinion. Really underrated. I'd recommend it to anyone who is looking for just a calm book. Nothing too over the top. I get why it's not popular. I'd just recommend it. It was a nice read, in my opinion, and yeah, it's definitely a recommendation. Next up would be the Percy Jackson book. Not even books. The first book in this series, The Lightning Thief. And I haven't read it in English either. Those next few books are going to be books that I read in Danish at my school library. But it was good. Never thought I'd like it, because I grew up with a family that liked Harry Potter and Harry Potter strictly. Well, not that much. They didn't know Percy Jackson. I didn't think I'd like it so much. Harry Potter was really boring to me. Like, I tried reading the books and it was really, really boring. And then now there's also, after I found out everything about J.K. Rowling, I was like, I am not reading that. Not at all. But Percy Jackson was kind of enjoyable, although it is a kid's book, and I read it, like, when I was past 12 years old. I read it a few years ago, when I was, I think, 13, and it wasn't bad. I actually kind of liked it. I'm definitely going to reread it in English, because there's definitely a difference between the English and the Danish version. But until then, I'll have to wait for more seasons to come out, because season 2 just came out and I haven't watched it yet. But I have this weird thing, which this is how I read the Percy Jackson books and watch the series. It is that I watch the season first, and then I read the book. Which, brace yourself for what I'm about to say, but my first Percy Jackson book was The Lost Hero. I started with the second series, and it was intentional, actually. It was pretty much intentional, because I was looking for something to read about in the Percy Jackson series, and I didn't want to read the first books because I didn't really want to get spoiled of the series, because I really like the series. I watched it in a weekend, and I loved it, so now I'm just waiting to watch season 2, and for the next seasons to come out too, and I hate being a fan that joined after the series release, because I know there's like a pretty negative look on those people. But I've seen a lot of stuff about Percy Jackson even since before this series was out. It's kind of just always been recommended to me, especially my Pinterest. So I already knew a lot about the books before I saw them. I also follow the Titaness Tessa. The Titaness Tessa? I don't know how to pronounce that. And she does a lot of Percy Jackson content, a lot of book content, and so from her, I know a lot of stuff that happens in the books. So the entire series of Heroes of Olympus, I'm almost done with it. Alright, The Lost Hero was awesome. I loved it. It was a really enjoyable read. I know a lot of people don't like it because Percy's not there, and I'm really glad I read it before I had an entire view on who Percy was. Like, I didn't really know anything about Percy when I got into it. Of course, I knew who he was as a person. I just never really, saw him in action, put it that way. So The Lost Hero I actually did not mind reading. It was a really fun read with great characters, honestly. And then The Son of Neptune came around, and it was a bit of a step down, I think. The Son of Neptune felt like a step down to The Lost Hero, if I'm being honest. But that one happened, and then there was Mark of Athena right after, which Mark of Athena was just good. It took me a lot of time to read. Again, these are school books. I only read about 20 minutes of them every day. But Mark of Athena was good. House of Hades was also good. With... I was about to spoil. Never mind, actually. And right now I'm at Blood of Olympus, which I am halfway through. And it feels a bit slow-paced, because I feel like I'm halfway through, and they've been on like one mission or two yet. So I cannot wait to finish it, and then move on to Trials of Apollo, which are in my TBR. I also want to talk about the Heartstopper books, because I have read all of them multiple times in all 3 languages. I have the books in French at my house, at least 1, 2, and 3. And I have the 4th one in Danish, and the 5th one I read because my library had it, so I don't remember which language I read it in. But I have read all of them, and I know that some people look down on gay romance written by someone of the opposite gender. Although I am not a gay man, alright? But I think it was pretty well written, and has maybe helped. I think it kind of has helped me in my own journey with my gender and attraction and stuff. It was definitely nice to discover these books at a young age. Like, I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful that I have them. I think it's a great story too. The Netflix show, I'm not a big fan of, but then that's really just me. It never really stuck with me. I watched a couple of episodes, or like got around season 3, and then I stopped watching it because I just preferred the books, graphic novels. I just think they were better, and the show just never stuck with me that much. Book 5 specifically was good. We got to see more representation. And Nick had an issue that I related with a lot at the time of reading it. Now I don't really do anymore. I don't want to spoil, but it was pretty great written, and I think if you read them as you're the same age as the character, right? If you like, maybe the first books you can read them when you are like 12, 13. I'm about to give them to my little brother soon. But then as you get older, like, continue reading the books, like as I did when they came out. It's kind of like you follow the characters and they're kind of in the same moment as you. So I think that was really good to read about and really enjoyable, in my opinion at least. And yeah, next up I want to talk about the books that I didn't finish this year. Books that I started and didn't finish because I either just took too long and I had to get them back to the library, and it just didn't really stand out to me. First of all, I have the Inheritance games, which, before you hate on me, actually you can hate on me, I didn't like reading the Inheritance games. The Inheritance games, I just felt kind of weird about the storyline, the way it was made, the plot, the fact that there's like these 4 brothers that and then the girl just moves in because their grandfather had some kind of connection to her, maybe not. Again, that's like just the plot, kind of, and I didn't read it fully, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It took me too much time to read, although I did love one of the brothers. One of them, the British one, the one that I always said, like, that's really friggin' like technologically smart. I really like that guy. But past that, it just felt icky to me. Maybe it was a part because I got this cover. That's like, again, don't put real people on book covers. It's really unflattering. But I didn't like it. I'm probably never gonna read it again. I'm trying to find my like own niche little genre of books, which I kind of did that with Girls of Snow and Glass. I think Girls of Snow and Glass was pretty great, and I'm trying to find more books in that trajectory. Even though my 26 TBR has kind of a genre, and it is not a good one. Well, not a like positive fantasy one, kind of like Girls of Snow and Glass. But Inheritance Games, not for me. I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. I read how many chapters? I read 35 chapters of the first book, which was basically halfway or something. I don't remember. And I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. Maybe I'll try it again one day. Maybe I won't. There's also this thing with puzzles. Like, I love puzzles. I'm a big puzzle person. Just when I can see them. Because, like, just reading about them felt kind of weird. And just... Also why I don't think I'm ever going to read, The Queen's Gambit. I watched the series, I learned there was books, and I'm like, never reading that. I would hate a book about chess, because I suck at chess. Next one I think is understandable that I didn't like, especially reading it this early on in my book journey. It was Shatter Me. Go ahead, slander me. I did not like reading Shatter Me. I think it was dystopian. I like me some dystopian. It's just a really long book series, which is really demotivating, and there are still books coming out. Like, I don't exactly know for now. I just know a book came out last year. And I will read them again. Alright. Maybe later on, maybe next year, if I am really bored, if I'm looking for a book, I will read the Shatter Me series. But past that, I don't think I am going to read them. They just weren't for me. I felt kind of bored, and I don't really want to say weirded out, because that's kind of like, you go into Shatter Me, you're going to get weirded out. It just, maybe it just wasn't for me. Let's just put it like that. And I got 11 chapters in and just quit. Had to give it back to the library. It took me too long to read. And yeah, that's kind of just it. So, moving on to my 2026 to be read. The first one is, as expected, The Red Queen. I really want to read The Red Queen, especially after not liking Powerless. The Red Queen, I hope it's a good book. I really hope it is. Apparently also because the character that, like, inspired Peyton is a background character in The Red Queen, and she's apparently a lesbian, so that's gonna be great to read about. Next up is Carmilla. And if you don't know Carmilla and you're a lesbian, what are you doing? If you're a lesbian that loves reading and you don't know Carmilla, now you will know about her. Carmilla is a book, sadly written by a straight white man, about lesbians, and it is a sapphic romance, and it is the story that inspired Dracula. Dracula is inspired by lesbians. Why did I not know that before? One of my friends told me, and she was like, hey, I have the book if you want to read it. I'm like, yay! That's one of the first books I'm gonna read next year. Next up, I have The Kill Order. That name never made sense to me, but I want to read it after I am done with The Death Cure. Maybe get that one in the collector's version. I'm not really sure. After that, I also have the books that are like the Mace Cutter. That's what it's called. The Mace Cutter, and I don't want to guess the last name because I'm scared of getting it wrong, but here it is. Next up is What the Woods Took. I don't remember anything about that book, or I remember I found it once on Pinterest. I was like, that looks interesting, and maybe I'll try to find it. Maybe I won't. It's not on my library app, which pisses me off, but I'll figure it out. Next up, Don't Let the Forest In. I don't know why I have two books about nature right after each other. maybe for a good reason, maybe not. But Don't Let the Forest In is also a psychological thriller. So those I am really excited for. They're books that are more niche, less popular, so I'm really excited to read those. So next up is Teeth. Teeth? I think it's Teeth. It's T-I-T-H-E. Teeth. I would say Teeth. It's an I, but that's really complicated. Anyways, it's also in the Novels Hall of Fame. It is just a part of the modern fairy tales, so it is just spin-offs. But Holly Black wrote them, so I will read them. I am now biased. Anything that is by Holly Black, I know I will like. Next up is something that will probably traumatize me. But it's mostly because I really, really want to read them. And it is I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream. I don't know why I'm interested in like kind of old books like Carmilla in this one. But I think it's kind of relevant with the time that we live in, with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. Yes, that. I won't go too much into it because I'm tired of watching videos about it too. But there's a lot of stuff inspired by that story. It is a short story, and absence of stuff about it, and I really want to know more. I really want to watch more specifically. I am very, very interested by that story and pretty much everything about it. So I'm excited to read that one. This one is Hell Followed With Us. And when I heard stuff about it, it has a lot of queer themes, and if you know me, you know that I'm a sucker for queer themes. It is about a trans person, as far as I know, and I think the cover is really pretty, which is something that a lot of books have, like a really pretty cover. So I'm excited to read that one, and it might be just one of the first that I read this year after Teeth, because those I already have, like, reserved to my library. I'm just waiting for them to arrive. And after that, there's kind of just the Trials of Apollo, some books that I want to read after I am done with the Blood of Olympus, and yeah, that was the books I read this year. Hopefully not this year, last year. But hopefully this year I will read more books. I'm really hoping on that, because books are amazing, and I really want to find more, like, on my own, more of my own niche genre of books that not a lot of people know. I'm kind of tired of, well, some booktube YouTube creators, because some people on booktube, I don't want to call it BookTok, but I don't have TikTok, so it is booktube because I'm on YouTube. Some just always say the same 5 books, and at one point it's just really unflattering to read about, like, do you only read 4 books? Like, I know that my list right now was 3 book series, but like, those people are like grown adults, and you've only read 3 books in your entire life? What are those shelves for? So hopefully I read more books. I also want to read Warrior Cats. I do have the first and second book. Unless I think, yeah, they are the first. I have the first and second book in French in my library, and I remember reading them and absolutely loving them. Also, I also want to say, like, the mangas I read, because I have read pretty much almost all of My Hero Academia. Again, don't support the author. I have read some of Spy Family, Demon Slayer. I've read a lot of mangas this year, and I don't have books, I read mangas. And yeah, I mean, that's not just my books this year. I also have some comics I want to mention, maybe in future book videos. I will. So yeah, that was all for today, and have a good day or night. This was Bugs. Bye, Bugs.